Hello everybody, I am Gamemaster 909, back with more LEGO Star Wars 2, the original trilogy. So previously, we completed all of the episode bonuses with, the character bonuses, along with the mini-kit bonuses for all 3 of the episodes. And really, there's one thing that remains in all these chapters. In all these episodes, and that is the super story, which is in the same door as the episode bonuses. So the super story, best time and high score. I'll get to what those mean here in a bit. Now we've already seen the opening crawl. We don't have to read it, so I guess I'll skip it. And so yeah, it's basically you got the story mode with all the cutscenes and stuff. So basically what this is that it's basically the story mode of episode 4, where you play all of the chapters back to back. Yeah, there's no stopping between levels. You play them all back to back, and while doing so, you have to collect at least 100,000 studs across all the levels. And you have to clear the story, like the entire story, with this amount of studs in under an hour. So you're on a time limit, and you have to reach a stud goal. So yeah. There's a reason why they never brought this back. And it was a complete saga, but that's about it. They never brought it back after the complete saga. And I can kind of see why, especially with games like, I don't know, say Lego Batman 2, which doesn't really have the story separated into different episodes or chapters or whatever you want to call them. It's all just one big story. And so yeah, what I like to do for the super story is that I like to separate the stud amounts and times between each level. So because there's 6 levels in each episode, what I would do normally is that I would go ahead and try to collect at least 16,000 in each level, and make sure to beat each level in less than 10 minutes. Just in case, because so I could try my best to not accidentally go over an hour or not collect enough studs. Basically, just kind of, going a safe route, I guess you could say. Now, I've already collected enough studs for this level, so we shall move on. And we can just, whoops, didn't defeat that stormtrooper. We can just rush past each of the levels. So yeah, this is my 3rd time going through all of these levels, because first there was the story, and then there's the free play mode. Yeah, I'm kind of starting to run thin on stuff to actually talk about these levels. So what I did actually is, for this, A New Hope, I actually decided to go and watch episode 4, A New Hope, the movie, to try to find stuff, try to find some comparisons between the movie and this game, and also to talk about some stuff that I didn't mention before. This doesn't really have to do with the movie itself, but rather, hey, it's another story from my childhood. But anyways, yeah. Whenever I would be in a hallway somewhere, whether it be a house or a public place, I would always see it as being like this level, like these corridors in the Rebel Blockade Runner. and I would see the, like, it would mainly be at this one friend's house. Um, good friends of ours. Um, they would, you know, have a hallway across their house, or yeah, in their house. I would always see, like, the other rooms beside those being like, oh, this room over here on the left is where the level starts. And I would kind of imagine, oh, this be like this level in real life. That's how lonely I was. Like I said before, I didn't have many friends back then. So just kind of, whenever I was somewhere, like, I didn't really... Okay, I had a handheld console, technically. I had a DS with not that many games. Let's see. I could talk about that. I don't think I've talked about, like, my DS. But yeah, I had a Nintendo DS. Now, I currently do have a 3DS. It's not even like one of the fancy models, like the new Nintendo 3DS or the new 2DS. It's literally like one of the first models they released back in 2011. I think it's the aqua blue one. Yeah. Like I said, it was one of the 3DSs that came out at the system's launch. I never upgraded to like a newer model ever. But besides, I didn't even have that many games on the 3DS anyway. I had Mario 3D Land. I had Mario Kart 7. I had a couple of the Lego games. I had Lego Star Wars 3 and Lego Harry Potter Years 5 through 7. Didn't really play those that much. Well, I had Smash Brothers for 3DS, and I had Tomodachi Life. You guys remember that game? That game was great. And I'll be honest, I still play Tomodachi Life to this day every now and then. I really wish Nintendo would make a sequel to that. Like, maybe on the Nintendo Switch or something. Although, I don't know how they would, like, make that work without, like, dual screens, with just a single screen, because I think the game Tomodachi Life implemented the dual screens of the 3DS perfectly. Now, yes, I am aware that the game is a sequel to a Japan-exclusive DS game, Tomodachi Collection. But whatever, I still really like the game. Now, Smash for 3DS was the last game I ever got for the 3DS back in like late 2014. Yeah, that tells you how much I just did not care for the 3DS all that much. Like, okay, I had Mario Kart 7. I still have the case for it, and I still have the cartridge. The cartridge does not work anymore, though. I don't know if I explained it before, about how in my room, I had just the loose cartridge of Mario Kart 7 standing on a windowsill, you know, in front of the sun and everything. And it was for over a year. And so, yeah, the cartridge doesn't work anymore. So that's great. And it sucks, because Mario Kart 7 was probably like one of my most played games on the system, on the 3DS. Love that game. It's such a shame though, but whatever. I mean, if I want Mario Kart on the go now, I just play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. But, yeah. I still play Tomodachi Life a lot though, although Smash for 3DS I didn't play that much. Probably because, you know, I got it after I had already owned Smash for Wii U. So, like, because Smash for Wii U, I thought, oh, that's a superior game, which I still think it is. You know, it's got more content. It's on a home console. It's got 8-player Smash. It's got Special Smash. It's got more trophies. Like I said, more content. It has one extra, like, it has different stages. That Jawa on the right has no eyes. I just realized that. That's not creepy at all. There's two sons. Now, I believe this whole scene with Luke searching for C-3PO and R2, this entire scene does not happen in the movie. Like I said, I watched A New Hope recently, and by that I mean like right before I recorded this. This entire level is actually, this doesn't happen in the movie, if you're wondering. There is no scene in the movie where, like, Luke and Ben go out to save C3 and R2. Why do I keep on saying C3? I mean 3PO. Like, in a sandcrawler. The closest that happens is that, like, Luke and 3PO go find R2, who's wandering off or whatever, trying to find Obi-Wan. He ends up finding Obi-Wan, of course. If you've seen the movie, you would know. But, yeah. And then, like, of course, they find Ben Kenobi, and then and I believe, and then Luke finds out, oh, Ben Kenobi is actually Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then Luke plays Ben the whole message. And so they go out and try to find Leia and rescue her and send her back to Alderaan, her home planet. But, I mean, I guess this is really the only way you could put it in gameplay form. However, it is accurate, like, it is movie accurate that, like, Ben scares away the, Tusken Raider in the opening cutscene. Like, and he even makes, like, that cry or whatever. I forget exactly what it is. It's supposed to, like, you know, scare away the Tusken Raider. And weirdly enough, in every single version of Star Wars that they've released, it's different. It's like a different cry. Like, when they released the special edition, they changed it. And then when they released the films on DVD, they changed it again, which I believe the ones for the DVD, the cry heard in the DVD version, is actually the same as heard in this game. Probably because I think that was the most recent version of the film when this game came out. So, it makes sense. And then they changed it again when they released the films on Blu-ray in 2011. And personally, I think the one heard in this game is pretty decent. I think they overdid it for the next one. For like the one in the 2011 Blu-ray version. Along with the Disney Plus version. Which is actually different from the Blu-ray. The main change is, of course, with the Han versus Greedo scene. Where they add an extra shot to the whole thing. Where Greedo says, McClunky. And then they shoot, which I think it's super unnecessary. And of course, people have made jokes about it and how, like, oh, in the future, the scene will, they'll add so much to the scene. Where, like, I've seen some, it's mainly YouTube comments, where, people were saying stuff like, oh, in the year 2059, the scene will play out like this, where, like, before Han and Greedo shoot, Greedo will say McClunky, and then they break out into song, and then the entire cantina stands up and claps for them. And funny stuff like that. Yeah, and then they shoot. Yes. Funny stuff like that I found. If they keep making changes to Star Wars for that long, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I mean, if Disney didn't buy out Star Wars, that probably would have been likely, because I don't think George Lucas, like, took the IP that seriously. I mean, Robot Chicken Star Wars exists, and George Lucas was going to be heavily involved in a sketch-based animated Star Wars series, Star Wars Detours. Now there is like a trailer on YouTube of it, and yeah, it seems like it's super unfunny. And weirdly enough, it was actually from the crew of Robot Chicken that made it. And apparently, the first season of the series, which contains, like, I think 39 episodes, it was fully produced. It just never aired because of Disney buying out Star Wars. Yeah. Probably the coolest thing about it is the fact that Seth MacFarlane would have voiced Palpatine, which is pretty cool. I mean, you can't go wrong with Seth MacFarlane.
How was the singles cruise?
Well, let's just say there wasn't a cloud in the sky, which was confusing since it was raining chicks.
But anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, about so while watching the movie, I noticed about the role of, you know, Luke's aunt and uncle. I believe their names were, I think, Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen. Or Uncle Lars, because his full name was Owen Lars. So I guess we'll just say Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. But yeah, they played, you know, quite the role in the movie. And by that, I mean they appear for like 5 minutes. And then, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the movie. But, I mean, then again, who hasn't seen Star Wars? Everyone's seen it at least once. But yeah, they're killed by stormtroopers who are trying to find 3PO and R2. There you go. But yeah, they never really appear in this game at all. I mean, I kind of get it. I mean, you could take them out and it wouldn't change much in terms of gameplay for this game. Let's just hope they at least, like, I'm sure they'll appear as playable character. Yeah, I'm sure there'll be playable characters in Skywalker and Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I mean, that game's gonna have a roster of over 500 characters. I'm sure they'll be in there somewhere. At the very least, Uncle Owen will probably be, because he's been in Lego form quite a few times. Earliest example I can think of is the 2006 Sandcrawler. I believe he was in there. And I believe in quite a few other Sandcrawler. Like, every time they have a Sandcrawler set, they usually throw in Uncle Owen. Did R2-D2 just die? Wow, okay. Anyways, they usually throw in Uncle Owen, as a minifigure in there. Alright, here we are. Arriving at the hut. Now, I believe they recently made a set out of this, like, area over here. Yeah. I think it was 2019 when they did. I think it's called Obi-Wan's Hut or something. And I think the most interesting part was, like, because it came with a hologram, like a little piece that was like a hologram Leia. And I think it's exclusive to that set. It's kind of serves as a transparent blue Leia nano figure. That's what they're called. And yeah, here we go. Here we are. The transmission. I find it funny that Luke in this scene, not in this scene, but when he first finds the Leia's message, he states how, "Who is she? She's beautiful." Like, but that I find kind of funny because, of course, at this time, they hadn't established that Luke and Leia were like brother and sister. I mean, you could make the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, maybe they didn't know. But in Return of the Jedi, Leia clearly knows that, yo, Luke's my brother. Which makes that scene in Empire Strikes Back even more awkward when Leia friggin' kisses Luke. Like friggin' makes out with him or whatever. Thank goodness they didn't include the giant CG dinosaur in front of the camera. In this like scene right here. I'm sure they will in Skywalker Saga. I guarantee you they will. Just to add more humor to the game. Which, I mean, they did so in the Force Awakens Lego game. Like with the Return of the Jedi level that was in that game. They added a whole bunch of humor to the scenes, which I can see why some people would like it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, some of the jokes do work. Like, I think in the scene in that game where, like, you know, Luke unveils Vader's mask or whatever, or, like, where he lifts the mask and reveals Vader's face. Of course, when he first does it, it reveals to be, oh, it's Hayden Christensen, guys. Like, that's, I mean, I can see why some people find it funny, but, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Of course, in this game, like, when there's, like, a serious scene, they take it seriously, you know, they don't really add much humor to it. Like with that same scene of, like, Vader seeing Luke with his own eyes. In the Force Awakens game, they just throw humor into literally any scene. And, like, again, I can see why some people would like it, but I don't know, it's really up to opinion which you prefer. Like, serious tones when needed, or humorous tone all the way through. Like, it really comes down to, like, what you define the, you know, the Lego versions of these IPs as. Either Lego retellings of these movies, or more humorous retellings of these stories. I mean, now that I think about it, Disney kind of has their own version of the, like, you know, Star Wars detours, whatever. Like, more humorous takes on the Star Wars films. Or really just the Star Wars canon, because it's all Star Wars stuff. With, like, you know, these Lego Star Wars shorts that they release, or series or whatever. I think the series is called, like, Droid Tales or something. And, of course, recently, as I'm recording this, they released the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, which I think looks really interesting. Because, like, when I first saw it, I thought, really? They're attempting a Star Wars Holiday Special again? After the disaster that was the original Star Wars Holiday Special? Wow, okay. Oh, great. Here comes the Stormtrooper. Or Sand Trooper in this case, my bad. But yeah, like I said, it's really up to opinion whether you consider, like, this game especially, or these LEGO games in general, either as LEGO retellings with this awesome gameplay of going through the stories, or as humorous retellings, using the Lego likeliness, I guess you could say, likeness, to have an excuse to tell more humorous takes on these beloved IPs. I think the newer LEGO games definitely, like, take the latter approach. It might also have to do with the fact that, like, both the old and new Lego games have a lot of visual gags. Like the newer ones have a lot of visual gags. Like I noticed, like in the Lego Marvel games, whenever you see Nick Fury in the Lego Marvel games, he's usually always holding like a smoothie in his hand or something. Which I don't think that was in the movies last time I checked. Like when I watched Infinity War, I know that's the first thing I talk about. I haven't seen Avengers or Age of Ultron in a while, but I have seen Infinity War recently. Like, because I remember in that movie, Nick Fury isn't holding a smoothie at the end of the movie. So, yeah. I don't think I've ever mentioned across this entire playthrough about a certain scene in A New Hope that, you know, wasn't in the theatrical cut, but was added later on in the special edition. And I am of course talking about the Jabba scene. Yeah, in episode 4, A New Hope, in the special edition, they added a scene that was previously deleted in the theatrical cut that had to do with Han talking with Jabba the Hutt about the payments that Han has due to him. In the original New Hope, it was supposed to be in there, and I think that Jabba the Hutt was supposed to be like a stop-motion puppet that they would add over the scene, because we have the raw scene available, like on the raw scene's available on YouTube, and it shows Jabba as a human. Now, I believe Jabba the Hutt was originally going to be like this furry stop-motion creature, something like that. However, they decided to cut the scene due to, I believe, either time constraints, budget constraints, or maybe both. And they actually replaced it with the Greedo scene that we know today. They decided to actually add the scene back into the special edition, this time adding a CGI Jabba the Hutt, which makes the scene even more confusing, as Han refers to Jabba in that scene as a wonderful human being, despite not being a human.
Jabba, you're a wonderful human being.
And also, because Han in the original scene with human Jabba, like Han walks around him. Now, you might know that modern Jabba the Hutt has a tail. And how did they pull off Han walking around Jabba when he has that huge tail? They had to digitally move Harrison Ford upwards to make it seem like like he was walking over Jabba's tail. Similar to how with the Greedo scene, they digitally moved Han's head to make it seem like he dodges a blaster bolt from Greedo. And I think I mentioned how this Imperial spy has a name. His name is Garinden. But yeah, he does appear in A New Hope, of course. I mean, why would he be in this game if he wasn't in the movie? He barely appears, though. I believe he's only in the movie for like a total of probably less than a minute. But here we go. It's the end of Mos Eisley Spaceport. We're making some pretty good progress. Holy crap. Like, it's been like, what, less than 20 minutes? My god. Alright, here we go. The Death Star. At least this is the first time we really see it in this game. Just realized. And they blow it up. Now, in this movie, or in the scene in the movie, there's a whole talk between Grand Moff Tarkin and Leia about like where exactly the rebel base is, where Tarkin asks her like, where's the rebel base? And Princess Leia lies to him by saying that the base is in Dantooine. Now, when I was watching the film before this recording, I had the subtitle track on. I was watching on Disney Plus, by the way. I had the subtitle track on. And when I saw that when Leia says, like, where the rebel base is, she says, Dantooine. And it read the subtitles as Dantooine. When I first saw that, I didn't know what Dantooine was. I thought that maybe the people writing the captions misheard her. And I thought she, like, meant to say Tatooine. Because, again, I didn't know Dantooine was an actual thing. And so what I decided to do was like, oh, maybe it's just something that's exclusive to this Disney Plus version. So I pulled out the DVD for A New Hope. Because that was mainly the other version I have in this house. So, so yeah, I decided to pull the DVD out and see if the captions in that read the exact same thing. And it turns out that it does. So that let me know, okay, this wasn't a mistake. So I decided to look up Dantooine and see if it's like an actual Star Wars planet. It is! Yeah, Dantooine is a canonical Star Wars planet. The only real time it's really heard or mentioned is in A New Hope. However, they were going to expand upon it in the Star Wars sequel trilogy, weirdly enough, where I believe originally in The Force Awakens, the Starkiller base was going to be located, like the First Order was actually going to take over Dantooine and turn it into the Starkiller base. Now, I believe the base's original name was actually going to be the Doomstar, which I think is really interesting. But they decided against it. And then in Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, Dantooine was going to be involved again as the rebel base. But it was taken out. So, yeah, Dantooine as a planet has had some pretty bad luck in the canon Star Wars, or the Star Wars canon. That's great. Yeah, I do find that really interesting. Oh, yeah, we're only 24 minutes in, and we're already 4 levels in. There we go. And Obi-Wan uses the Force to bring this over bring that over here. That reminds me about how in A New Hope, the Force isn't really used that much. Yeah, I mean, it's mentioned, of course, as like this energy field that makes up everything around the characters. And like its actual uses in the films, it's really only used for like, because in A New Hope they don't really use it for like, telekinetic stuff like moving objects with the Jedi's minds or whatever. That isn't seen until Empire Strikes Back with Luke, like Luke pulling his lightsaber with the Force and on Hoth. And Yoda bringing the X-Wing out of the water on Dagobah. But yeah, in A New Hope, it's really only used for the Force mind tricks. And Force chokes from Darth Vader. And I guess you could say it was also used for, like, being able to sense things. Like with Ben Kenobi being able to sense the like the exact attributes of the TIE fighters that were around the Millennium Falcon when Han, Luke, and all of them first approached the Death Star. Also, I don't think it's ever mentioned. It might have been mentioned, probably very subtly, about how like the Death Star attracted the Millennium Falcon using a tractor beam. Because you know they were initially just going to turn around and try to get away from the Death Star as quickly as they could, but they were forced to approach it thanks to the Death Star's tractor beam. So yeah. All right. So, wow, 4 levels in already, and it's like not even 30 minutes. I mean, then again, I'm just speeding through these levels at this point. So like, yeah, this scene right here. So in the movie, like Han talks to Chewie about like, because I think he mentions how like Chewie was worried about like how he was gonna smell, and it made me think, well, do any of the characters smell bad? Like, think about it. Like, does the Millennium Falcon have a shower or something that allows Han and Chewie to like stay clean or whatever? Is there a plumbing system on ships? Is there a plumbing system in the Millennium Falcon? How do they take showers? How do they stay clean, you know? I mean, and again, this is a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. They have all sorts of high-tech stuff. I mean, they could have something else that I'm not aware of. Kind of like what, I don't know, C-3PO uses on Tatooine to clean himself or whatever. In A New Hope. But, yeah, I'm sure they might use that or something. Which, of course, led me to the question, like, how are the characters sticking to the ground when they're in space? Like, does the Death Star have its own gravitational pull? Well, then again, if it has its own tractor beam, then it probably does. Like, of course, you could say the same thing about the Millennium Falcon. Does it have its own gravitational pull in, like, the center of it, or whatever? Now that I think about it, like, if tractor beams or whatever exists, then they probably had the technology to do that. And also, it'd be too expensive to have a film where the characters are in space and they float around. So, yeah. Well, really, it goes for any science fiction film or show. Like, you could say the same thing about Star Trek. And, like, does the Enterprise have its own gravitational pull? You know, stuff like that. Although, judging by how long that show ran, they probably explained it in an episode. I wouldn't be surprised. I've actually never watched Star Trek, to be honest. Or, at least, I've never, like, actually sat down and watched it. Like, because, I don't know, I was never really I've never been real interested in it. Kind of weird how we're able to hear what seems to be the Dianoga, the name of the monster that's in the trash compactor. And weirdly enough, I don't think, yeah, the Dianoga never appears in this game. So, it makes the trash compactor scene super short, because in the movie, it was where, like, Luke gets caught by it, and they spend so much of their time trying to save Luke from the Dianoga. But who knows, maybe the Dianoga will make an appearance in the Skywalker saga. Okay, back to that DS talk from like 20 minutes ago. My God. I actually had Lego. I had Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga on the DS. I also actually had Lego Star Wars 2, the original trilogy, on the DS, and I played that quite a bit. And let me tell you, it wasn't developed by Traveler's Tales. It was developed by Amaze Entertainment, which I believe they no longer exist. But yeah, they developed Lego Star Wars 2 for both Game Boy Advance and the DS. And I freaking love the DS version of the game because, not because it's a good game. No, that actually makes sense. No, the game is a broken mess. It is probably one of the most broken games and most just straight up unfinished games I've ever played. Uh-oh. No! Oh. But yeah, it is such a broken and clearly unfinished game. Let me think of some glitches, like... I don't know. Can't really think of any one in particular. Well, there are some glitches about some of the characters, like, I believe, like, you can play as the bartender at the Mos Eisley Cantina. And for some reason, he has the same mechanics and, like, abilities as R2-D2. So yeah, he literally just floats around like R2. Yeah, okay. I'm guessing it's because they needed, like, they needed to have, it just be a palette swap of a character that doesn't really have an attack. So they thought, oh, R2. R2 doesn't have any attacks. So they literally have this human guy be a palette swap of R2-D2 of all characters. And so he floats around and stuff. How does that make any sense? What? Wow, okay. Yes, okay. Like I said, there was also Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga on the DS, which was a way more polished game. And I believe it was actually developed by Traveler's Tales, more specifically TT Fusion, which would mainly make the handheld Lego games. They also developed Lego City Undercover, which is kind of cool. And so yeah, that game, like I said, it's pretty much like, it basically replicates the console version's levels and tries to put them into a more side-scrolling form. You know, something that's more friendly towards the DS's hardware. And so yeah, I played a ton of that as well. No! Come on. Yes, okay. I don't know why I sounded so, like, blank when I said yes. Like, I wasn't excited at all. Nah, just yes. I'm tired, okay? Don't expect me to sound too thrilled about these things. And I believe, yeah, that game even has like the same character roster as the console versions, except I think it both adds and removes some characters. What characters does it add? Not really many that I can think of. I know Indiana Jones isn't playable in it. However, the Scout Troopers are actually part of the actual character roster rather than just being an extra toggle character. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think extra toggle was a thing in that game. So, allowed them to easily make Scout Trooper into a playable character. So that's something that the console version doesn't have. And also another thing about that version is that whenever you're like accessing a panel, you don't just like press a button and then bam, there you go. You press the button at the panel with the character, and then you have to play some stupid mini game with the touch screen. That it just feels like, yeah, they really were desperate for ways to try to implement the DS's touchscreen mechanic, which they didn't have to. Like, the game already on its own serves this point, or as just Lego Star Wars on the go. They did not have to add touchscreen mechanics. I mean, okay, they could have if they wanted, if it were like, you know, an optional thing. But no, this was required. The game literally requires you to do this every time you like wanted to open a panel. Like, it just makes you want to just say, get on with the game. Come on. Like, it's so tedious and so stupid. It just, and most important of all, it just feels so gimmicky. I'm sorry, but it's true. Other than that, though, the game's fine. There are also some differences. Like, there's not as many music tracks in it. Probably because what do you expect? It's on a DS cartridge. I don't think DS cartridges could, like, store that much space to have that much music. So it's reused, like, the same music's reused across multiple levels. And not only that, but there's only 5 levels in each episode rather than 6. So they have to, like, remove a level in each episode. I believe in the Phantom Menace in that game, the Invasion of Naboo level was removed. In Attack of the Clones, the Bounty Hunter Pursuit level was removed. Thank God. In Revenge of the Sith, the Chancellor and the Chancellor in Peril level is removed. In A New Hope, the Rescue the Princess level. Well, actually, the Rescue the Princess level is combined with Death Star Escape. In Empire Strikes Back, the Cloud City Trap and Betrayal of Bespin levels are combined. And Return of the Jedi, I forget exactly which level's removed, but I believe the Speeder Showdown level is removed, if I'm not mistaken. So interesting stuff about this level. Of course, this shows about them waiting till the moon of Yavin that the Rebel base is located on makes its orbit to where it's in view of the Death Star, to where like the Death Star could destroy it, destroying the Rebels once and for all. Now one interesting thing that I have not talked about are about the other pilots that you see in the movie in this scene. But the other Rebel pilots, which are named Biggs Darklighter and Wedge Antilles. And now, of course, they're never seen in this game. However, I believe they're playable in the Lego Star Wars 2 DS game. Oddly enough. Yeah, they threw in so many characters in that game, my god. Like, I'm pretty sure Mace Windu's playable in there. Stuff like that. you know, despite Mace Windu not even being in any of the original trilogy, whatever. But anyways, but yeah, both Wedge Antilles and Biggs Darklighter are playable. Now, I believe like in the movie, it's revealed that Biggs Darklighter was also on on Tatooine, or lived in Tatooine, and was best friends with Luke. And in the movie, in the special edition, at least in the movie, they show the scene of them, like, of he and Luke reuniting, and Luke talking to him about all the stuff that Luke's been through across his journey, in the Death Star and stuff like that, and meeting Obi-Wan, or not meeting Obi-Wan, but like meeting Han Solo, stuff like that. The scene was actually cut along with, like, so Biggs as a character was basically cut entirely from A New Hope, or from the theatrical 1977 version of A New Hope. However, in the special edition, they did include the scene where they're reunited, or whatever, and there was going to be a whole lot more scenes of Luke and Biggs, you know, hanging out on Tatooine. However, they were all deleted from the movie. And so they remain deleted in the special edition of A New Hope. However, the scene where they're reunited is brought in. So that's kind of cool. Now, of course, I believe he would have still been one of the X-Wing pilots, but I don't think he would have, like, had an actual on-screen name. Not on-screen, but, like have a major role or whatever. Not really a major role, because he doesn't. But, like, of course, he was going to have a bigger role in, like, originally with all of these scenes. I guess you could say he was, you know, originally just never going to be named at all. He would have still appeared, like, in his X-Wing or whatever, but that's about it. Yeah. Now, I believe they have made Biggs in Lego form. However, not that often. I believe the only time they did was when they still used, like, yellow flesh-toned figures for the Star Wars theme. And he even just had just the generic Lego mustache minifigure face. However, his helmet piece is accurate to his helmet in the movie, weirdly enough, with all the yellow on it or whatever. However, he just has the generic face. Not really, you know, super generic Lego face, but it's the one they would commonly use for minifigures with mustaches. So there you go. There we go. Yeah. And right as it comes into view for them to charge the fire up, or like fire up the Death Star laser, it blows up. And they even have a ring around it. Thank you, George Lucas. Although, I doubt George was, like, actually involved in this game. But, hey, the developers over at Traveler's Tales did make sure to add a ring to the explosion. So, that's nice of them to do. And our friends head back to Yavin for a celebration. Now, in this scene in the movie, of course, this entire scene has no dialogue. Also, there's some Hoth troopers in the background. Why are they there? I guess at this time they had already established the Hoth Rebel base. Or maybe they just needed some extra models to fill in. So they thought, hey, we have some Hoth Rebel troopers. Let's just fill them in the background for whatever reason. But yeah, Episode 4, A New Hope Super Story, complete. And our new best time? 43 minutes and 24 seconds. And we got 122,000 studs. And that gives us 97 out of 99 gold bricks. And of course, the credits roll, but we'll save the credits until the very end of the playthrough. And we're now 83% into the game.